All right, hello OAS family. We are here today for another book review, and today we are going to be reviewing To Paint in the Lingnan Style 1, Theories, Flowers, and Vegetables. So before we get into the book, let's talk about the broad statistics here. The book is a very popular size among our books, so it is 8¼ inches wide by 11¾ inches tall, and the book has instruction in both English and Chinese, and it has approximately 123 pages. So we're going to get into the book, and without any further delay here. So there are some full compositions here at the beginning. This introduction talks a little bit about the author of the book, but is all in Chinese. So just a couple pages, also featuring some more final compositions. This is a materials section, so it shows here some chips and tube colors, mineral colors, some accessories. We have similar accessories available from OAS, and the brush list. So these are not exactly OAS brushes, but we have very similar brushes. So just really quickly, this brush list from right to left, we have a wash brush, a dragon brush, a large mountain horse brush. All the brushes after that are various sizes mountain horse brush up until this small red brush here. Then we have 3 different size combination brushes, like I would say that is like a super flow and a large flow, and then a regular flow, a happy dot, and to the far left we have a leaf vein brush. So those are mapping this brush list to the OAS brushes. Then talks a little bit about general stroke techniques. And I think these are self-evident by just the illustrations. I don't think it's necessary to have the text in Chinese translated. And then some more final compositions, and then we get into the section on flowers. So this is where the book really starts to shine. So you can see here, final composition there featuring plum. And then a real world picture of a plum blossom. And then you can start to see here as we get into the strokes, it's showing you pretty solid instruction, building it from a more basic to a more complex illustrative fashion, as we call it. Not exactly stroke by stroke, but very clearly from a more simpler idea into a more complex grouping. And then here we go have some more different style of plum blossoms, different styles of branches, and you can already start to see what people kind of like about this Lingnan style. It has a freeness to it, and that quality is kind of a lot of the people that are initially attracted to Chinese painting are attracted to the qualities that were first explored when the Lingnan style was developed. So here's a really beautiful final composition featuring a bird and a peach blossom. And then we get into more instruction on the peach blossom here. And you can see, again, this distinctive branch rendering along with the flower rendering here for this painting. Then a pear blossom. This has a larger flower, so you can kind of see here the style of the leaves and the flower and how loose it is. Then you can see that technique there where they render the outline, and then they do a stroke that is like the broad color, and then they go over that stroke with more details. So a lot of Lingnan artists like to use semi-sized paper, so paper like our pea paper or our dragon cloud paper or our vintage mulberry paper. Those would all be good for Lingnan style painting, even our Ma paper. All right, so we have pear blossoms right here. This really dynamic sort of loose style painting, built element by element here, and then showing the finished composition there. Really great coming up on this crab apple, where you can really see how they take these abstract strokes and group them together, add detail to them to make this sort of finished element. Right. And then this flowering crab apple. I really like how dynamic the birds are. Look at that. Really, really wonderful. This orchid painting also has wonderful simplicity and looseness, freedom. So it shows you how they build that orchid flower right there, both in kind of an ink and color version. And then how they do the leaves. And then this is a tawny daylily. This is a swordleaf cymbidium. So I'm going to continue to show the various subjects. This is the chrysanthemum. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Lingnan style in general. So a lot of people are asking like how to define Lingnan style. And that's kind of a tricky thing. This is bamboo. Because obviously when the Lingnan style is really like based off the foundational work of 3 different artists that were all in the same area. And so they were very different, but the one thing that sort of unified them was they were influenced by Western Impressionism to take sort of Western ideas of the use of color and sort of break out of the mold of traditional Chinese painting. This is rose. And so traditional Chinese painting was sort of at the time kind of very focused on historical renderings. And so these artists kind of sort of broke out of these sort of rigid and meticulous mode that the painting was in traditionally. This is Camellia. And started doing, you know, work that looked like this, that was like very loose and it was influenced by Western Impressionism, but it was using the materials of Chinese brush painting. So that produced this very unique combination, because the materials of Chinese brush painting are actually really excellent for impressionistic ideas like this looseness and just capturing the spirit of a subject. So this is continuing with Camellia. So the reason why it's kind of difficult is that these artists weren't intending to really make a new style. This is K-pop. And they were just doing their thing and influenced how they were influenced. This is Hydrangea. And then, you know, afterwards, people sort of called it Lingnan style. And so the work is quite diverse. They're not actually talking about a style or trying to do a style. They're just artists, and they approach different subjects in different ways. But there are these kind of unifying principles of the influence between East and West, and breaking out of the molds of this more historic Chinese painting. This is Peony. So what makes it even more difficult to kind of put Lingnan style in a box is a lot of the principles of Lingnan style have kind of been adopted into the broader definition of Chinese brush painting. And so when you look at it nowadays, it's not so unique. You just come to think of it as, oh, well, that's Chinese brush painting. But at the time, it was very unique. So a lot of times when they talk about the Lingnan style, it's more of like a lesson in history rather than, you know, as far as like trying to define the style. This is wisteria. Because the style, a lot of what was unique about the style has been incorporated into the general idea of Chinese brush painting. And so, you know, in that way, it is no longer owned by the Lingnan style. The Lingnan style was just sort of like the source, if that makes sense. Okay, we have Lotus now. There we go. Some Lotus in ink. This is the red maple. This is pine needles. So you can see that even though this is, the instruction of this book focuses on sort of these flowers, most of the compositions also feature, you know, birds, insects. So it is not just, so you do get that in the final compositions as well. It doesn't go down and break down the detailing of those subjects because it's actually covered in another book, but it does include them. This is willow. It does include birds and insects and whatnot in the final compositions. Right, so then this is the vegetable section we're coming up here. So as far as the weight of these subjects, I would say 2/3 of the book is covering sort of more floral subjects, and then 1/3 kind of covers vegetables. So we have this cucumber here. Really great, look at that. Shows a little detail about the rendering of the fruit of the cucumber, and then the leaves. I'm going to build this composition from the leaf. There we go. This is calabash. Lychee. Peach. So this is a subject that they call the longevity peach and the paradise flycatcher. Loquat. Taro. Cabbage, lotus roots, and water caltrop. So that is the book. So I hope you enjoyed this book review. Once again, this is To Paint in the Lingnan Style, Book 1, Theories, Flowers, and Vegetables. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell to get notified whenever we have new content on our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit like and send us a comment if you wish. And we hope you have a wonderful day and happy painting.